And so after going on this philosophical journey, we come back to this idea of getting too identifying with something in golf. I think that's sort of the pitfall of all of this. Okay, hey guys, we're here for the first episode ever of Smoky Golfs. So I'm going to tell you a bit of my story, my journey golfing, and we're going to talk a little bit about why is golf important and why do we want to improve at this game? Why is that important to actually be a good golfer, to be maybe a low handicap, a single digit, a scratch golfer, whatever your goal might be. So we're going to talk exactly about what that is, but I want to go back to the beginning first, and I want to talk about why I fell into this game in the first place. So if I go back to being a kid, I remember my first memory of golf was actually seeing my father in the entrance. He was leaving to go play a golf tournament, and it wasn't something he did very often. In fact, it was probably the only time he golfed in probably 10 years at that point. But he went to a friend's work tournament, and I remember admiring the golf clubs, and I just thought it was probably cool because I thought he was cool, right? And fast forward a few years, I was maybe 4 years old at that time, but if we go maybe 8, 9, 10 years old, he took my brother and I out a few times golfing, and I just fell in love with the sport. I think I had played mini putt, when we would go to maybe a trip somewhere or to a mall. I remember mini golfing in the West Edmonton Mall, Canada's largest indoor mall. They had 3 mini putts there. But I started to fall in love with the game, and at that point there was nothing, the score didn't really matter or anything. It was just fun to get out there and spend time with my brother and my dad and play some golf. Just whacking it around was fun. Going to the driving range was fun. And from there, I started to play games with my dad. I remember one time I got a bit older and he challenged me to a game where it was 2 of my shots to every one of his, right? Because he could obviously hit it a lot farther than I could. And I remember I actually beat him at that game. Neither of us probably shot very well, but, that I think sort of inspired the competitive side of the game, which is a fun nature that we have inside of all of us to succeed, to get better, to compete with, our peers or just with other people in general. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that golf actually provides for us is a competition, a friendly competition that's fun, relaxed, it's still social. You get along with the people you're competing with. You have conversations with them, get to know them better, and just spend quality time with them while, you're having this fun competitive game going on. And the thing that golf does so well is it can take people from vastly different skill levels, backgrounds, etc., and you can play each other in a way that's fair. The handicap system allows pretty much anyone to play golf against each other and make it competitive. So there's not really a lot of other sports that have that. And I'm going to fast forward a few years here to me being around 12 years old. I had my first friends who started to get into golf. I remember my friend Mitch started playing golf a lot in the summer. We would go out a few times, and we got to the point where we played so much that it just made sense for us to get a membership the next year. So we did that, and I played with him and my friend Nathan, and the 3 of us went out for a round one time. And at this point we're 12 years old or something. I might have even been younger, and I thought nothing of it at the time. But you fast forward, all these years later, and it was the start of some lifelong friendships, and I mean some best friends playing golf together and just being friends outside of golf for the rest of our lives. It's so cool. So it bonds some of the closest friendships you've ever had, and we used to play about 150 rounds a year until early in high school. I actually sort of started to pursue music a lot more, and I took a break from golf from a long time, actually. At that point I got down to maybe a 10 handicap or so. I'd break 40 every now and then. I don't even know if I maybe broke 80 once or twice, but not very often. And yeah, then I took a good break for about 8 years. Went to college, pursued my music career. I went to school for music production, and golf was pretty far from my mind at that point. It was still something that I loved and enjoyed, but I only maybe played around once or twice a year, if that. And yeah, at that point, I was just focused on other things, and eventually, by happenstance, I finished school, was playing music, and I got a part-time job working at the golf course because, again, my best friends were still in the golf industry. They were still doing that as a summer job while they were going to school. And so I reconnected with them. And it's funny how these things just bring you together. Like golf can bring people together like that. So anyways, I started working there. And before you know it, I was playing again because, it was free. And started to get back into it, and eventually there, I met a girlfriend even, and we started playing golf together. She hadn't really played much before, but she got into it, and we fast forward 5 years later, we're both playing competitive golf. She's gotten really good, I've gotten really good, and I'm to the point now I'm down to 5 handicap, and competing with a lot or most of the best players at the club. I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years, if I wanted to, if it was my goal, I could be in the running for a club championship, be in the running for, the gross match play, events like that, starting to do well at those events. But the story here is, it means so much more than just a round of golf, and if we think about the pursuing of a great score for a minute, we think of maybe trying to break 90, trying to break 80, trying to become a scratch golfer, getting our handicap down. It's a two-sided battle. I think one of the saddest stories I see is these guys sometimes, they'll make a YouTube channel and it'll be like, I'm going to play golf every day until I shoot par or I become a scratch golfer. And, a few months in, they quit their job and they dedicate all of it. And what a depressing story, man. I mean, it just looks like they're so tied up in this score. And I started to read a book by Eckhart Tolle. And the book was titled Finding Your Life's Purpose. And this book was actually very focused on the ego. And if you're not entirely sure what the ego is when we mean it in this sense, I'll explain it, because there was a paragraph in the book I remember reading over and over for like 25 minutes. And the line was, ego is identification with form. And then the paragraph expands on that. So what does form mean? Form could mean, it could mean physical possessions, things like a house, a car, where you live. It could mean the things that you do, like, for example, I am a golfer, or I am a scratch golfer, I am a carpenter or a musician, or this or that. It could be association with form in the form of money or even people, really anything. But at the end of the day, you are none of these things. You are a separate entity. You are an individual. You are just a person. And it gets into the idea that you're not even your thoughts. You're not even your feelings. You're simply the thing that observes your thoughts and your feelings, right? Come back to this idea of getting too identifying with something in golf. I think that's sort of the pitfall of all of this. The score isn't important. The handicap isn't important. The victories that you have aren't even important. You look at Scotty Scheffler, he was ready to leave the Masters in the lead on Sunday if his child was born, because it's not about the things that we have, right? It's not like being a scratch golfer, winning this trophy, winning this tournament. It's about the time that we spend getting there, the people that we're with, the journey that we're on, the things that we get to experience, the way we get to impact other people, the selfless things that this game brings us, right? And so